So that was my wife telling me to say hi to my doctor. Even though I said I'm about to go live, she had some parting things to say to me. So I have my checkup today. And as predicted, I did come down with a cold. Friday, I was feeling rough, being surrounded by people. And it's not COVID or the flu. I don't think. I don't have a temperature. But, anyways, I'm a little stuffy today. But I'm Skip Elsheimer, and welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where it's clear that people in the archival community love the show. They many people say that they watch it occasionally, and so it makes me very happy. It also makes me happy that you guys tune in, especially considering that I I unleashed some really tedious films that had gone viral on Friday, and or on Friday I showed you some tedious films, and you guys ran with it. So thank you for that. Let's see what we got today. We got some film about the Constitution, film about hot rods, and then some glorious commercials from the 60s. So let's watch Constitution, Guardian of Liberty. Enjoy.
Freedom, liberty, these are magic words, for they express desires which have caused men to cross oceans to face an uncertain future in a strange land in search of a more satisfying life. Since the early colonial days, the United States of America has attracted people as a land of freedom from cruel and unjust rulers, and as a land where a man can earn a good living. The Statue of Liberty, enlightening the world, standing in New York Harbor, greets the millions of immigrants who have come to make their homes in this country. Within the statue's foundation is a poem of welcome. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. So, from time to time, oppressed people have come in search of greater personal freedom. From the early settlers, seeking the right to worship as they please, to the recent refugees, seeking freedom from unjust and cruel treatment under a communist government. The United States has been made up of people from all continents, all races, all religions and political beliefs. Each of these people has the same right to freedom. Yet this freedom in the United States was not just granted. American students learn that it was earned and has been maintained by the continual efforts of its citizens, beginning with the founding fathers nearly 200 years ago when the country was first established. The first colonists worked hard to build homes in the wild new country. They banded together for protection against the Indians whose lands were being occupied. Then against the British king, who had begun to tighten his control over the colonies and to increase taxes. The people of the colonies, who had become used to governing themselves, pulled down the king's statue in protest against being taxed without being represented in the British Parliament, and against being tried without juries by courts under the control of the Admiral of the British Navy. They formed groups called Sons of Liberty, raised a liberty pole as a gesture of their defiance, and refused to buy British goods. In retaliation, British troops suppressed town meetings and local elections and fired on a mob in Boston. In the year 1775, the colonists heard that a unit of British troops was marching to the villages of Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts, to capture stores of arms held by the Patriots. The colonists, calling themselves Minutemen, skirmished with the British troops. This was the first of a series of battles in the War of Independence. In 1776, meeting at the building now known as Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the Declaration of Independence was adopted by the Continental Congress. In this document, the colonies declared their right to overthrow tyranny and to become free and independent states. The Declaration, drafted by Thomas Jefferson, was a landmark in what was to be a continuing struggle to gain and maintain freedom for the people. This paper proclaimed that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. For 7 more years, the war for independence continued under the leadership of General George Washington until 1783, when it ended in victory for freedom. The 13 original colonies, now states, wanted to establish a government that would preserve this newly won freedom, one that would guarantee them their independence and secure their rights. So the great leaders met again in Philadelphia. Washington, the farmer soldier. Franklin, the scientist. Madison, the student of religion. These and some 50 other delegates joined together to write the basic laws of the land, the Constitution of the United States of America. This Constitution was designed to carry forward in this country the freedom of the individual, beyond that granted in the Great Charter or Magna Carta of England. For the Constitution established a form of government which the delegates thought would be more certain to ensure justice, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to all the people. A republic with an elected president and Congress and a separate branch for the courts of justice. But did the Constitution secure liberty? The people were not sure that it clearly defined their rights and privileges. There was criticism from Patrick Henry of Virginia, who cried out against the original draft. The right of conscience, trial by jury, liberty of the press, all pretensions to human rights and privileges are rendered insecure if not lost. The people of other states echoed with, "Let us beware the iron glove of tyranny." So meeting in New York City, the new Congress suggested, and the states approved, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights. These amendments represented the basic freedoms, the safeguards of political, economic, and social rights. Under this Constitution, with its Bill of Rights, the country grew rapidly. The people, strong in courage, enthusiasm, and a spirit of adventure, built new homes and new businesses. But one race was still not free. As has happened in other countries, there was slavery, which continued until a great civil war was fought between the states. As a result, slavery was abolished in the United States. President Abraham Lincoln, in signing the Emancipation Proclamation declaring the slaves forever free, became known throughout the world as the defender of freedom for all the people. What does this freedom mean today? It does not mean that every person can do exactly as he pleases. Every citizen has certain responsibilities. But the Constitution, with its Bill of Rights, provides each person with protection by law of his civil rights as long as he does not interfere with the rights of other people. The First Amendment says, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Under this amendment, religious freedom is enjoyed by more than 250 different religious groups, with more than 100 million members. These faiths include all of the great religions of the world. Freedom of speech allows every citizen to say what he thinks without being afraid of the government. Freedom of the press permits every person to write for or read any book, magazine, or newspaper he wishes, even those which are against the political party in power. The people have the right to meet peaceably with other people and to ask their government to correct something which they believe to be wrong, either by writing letters to their elected representatives or by going to see their representatives and discussing with them their problems. Other amendments provide other social freedoms. The people and the state militia are given the right to own and use weapons for lawful purposes. These weapons give the citizens a means of defending their freedom from any group of people who would try to seize their government and take their freedom away. Under the Bill of Rights, if it seems probable that a person has broken the law, a judge of a court must sign a warrant giving permission to arrest a person or search his home. In this way, people are protected against unreasonable search and seizure of themselves, their houses, their papers, and other properties. The Constitution recognizes the right of each person in the United States to be assured of equal justice under law. Only the Supreme Court has the final right to judge if a law does not agree with the Constitution. Constitutional rights established by law are administered by the courts. They can be pursued from the lower courts right up to this highest court in the land. Any person who accuses another of violating his rights may bring his petition to what is known as a lower court. Any person accused of a crime or of seriously violating the rights of others must be told what the charge is against him. He must be given a speedy and public trial by jury. Otherwise, anyone could be jailed without cause, as in a dictatorship, and kept in jail indefinitely. He must be faced with the witnesses against him, be able to obtain his own witness in his favor, and have a lawyer to defend him. If he cannot afford to pay a lawyer, one is assigned to him by the court at no cost. If the person is found guilty of a crime, he cannot be given any cruel or unusual punishment. As a result of the Civil War, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were added to the Constitution, securing the right to vote of all citizens of any race or color. And with the 19th Amendment, women were given the right to vote. The officials who make the laws of the federal, state, and local governments are chosen by the free vote of the people. Laws protect the voter against anyone attempting to influence his vote. Citizens can, if they wish, qualify for work at local boards of election. Vote is by secret ballot, so that no one will know for whom another person is voting. The Constitution, in setting up a republican form of government, provides that the people will elect a President of the United States. He represents them in seeing that the government departments are run properly and that the laws of the land are carried out. The people elect a Congress consisting of two groups, a Senate and a House of Representatives. The members of Congress represent the states and the people in making new laws and in deciding how the money received from taxes is to be spent for the best interests of the people. Other amendments to the Constitution provide for economic freedom. Under what is known as the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment and the provisions of the 14th Amendment, the people of the United States are guaranteed their right to own land and property and to earn a living by choosing their own occupation. millions of people own their own businesses completely and enjoy the profits from their own labor. Another form of business organization is the partnership. A common form of business organization is called a corporation. It may be small or large. By selling stocks and bonds to the public, a corporation can obtain money to increase its size and its activities. The corporation, however, must operate in agreement with the established laws. Those who participate in businesses by buying stocks are known as stockholders, such as these people attending a stockholders' meeting. A corporation may have as few as 3 or up to millions of stockholders. These people who own stock or shares in the corporation come from all walks of life. They may be workers, farmers, widows, professional people, or employees of the corporation itself. Accompanying the continual growth of freedom in the United States has come increased efforts to promote the general welfare, as stated in the preamble to the Constitution. Today's employees in the United States enjoy many advantages which they would not have had 100 years ago, when there was very little security for the workers. Today, workers in the United States have the right to join labor unions of their own choosing and to bargain with their employers for better wages and working conditions. In the United States, the house in which a family lives can be built with money borrowed from a bank and guaranteed by the government for repayment. If a man loses his job, he is paid unemployment insurance to support his family until he can find a new job. Social Security is a form of government insurance which provides money for older people when they are retired. This Social Security is paid for by both the worker and the company for whom he or she worked during the working years. These monthly checks after retirement ensure the elderly person money for food, clothing, and necessities. Additional payments are made to disabled workers, to widows, and to dependent children. A smaller but important group of people are the farmers. Millions of farmers in the United States own their own farms. Just as the government promotes the general welfare in industry, business, and labor, so too does it assist the farmer. A farmer can obtain a government loan or credit to help him pay for his home, for seed, fertilizer, and farm equipment. And under farm laws, the government buys and sells farm products to support prices. The farmer, therefore, is paid a fair price for his crops. The federal government recognizes that some people may lose their jobs because of new labor-saving inventions or of changes in the way people work and live. The government has therefore started programs in cities and rural areas to train people for new jobs so that they may continue to earn a living wage. One of the greatest of benefits is the right of all people to a free education on equal terms, from the first grade through high school. Now, universal free education is a firmly established part of life in the United States. This, then, is a country where the goals, as stated in President Franklin D. Roosevelt's Four Freedoms speech, are equality of opportunity for our youth and for others, jobs for those who can work, security for those who need it, ending of special privilege for the few, enjoyment of the fruits of scientific progress in a wider and constantly rising standard of living. For the United States of America, founded in liberty, guarantees to each of its citizens social, political, and economic freedom. Freedom to do and say what he pleases, as long as he does not harm other people. Freedom to demand a trial by jury and be free from cruel and unusual punishment and from unreasonable search and seizure. freedom to vote for the candidate he believes will best manage his government. Freedom to own land and property, to choose his own means of earning a living, to compete in production, and to bargain for goods and services in a free market under a system of free enterprise. These are the kinds of freedom which are every person's right, under a government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Sorry, I was eating a hot dog. All that talk about freedom made me want to make a hot dog. So there you go. William, thank you so much for the donating via ko-fi.com/avgeeks. That money will go to pay storage unit rental. All right, so Sid Davis. We love Sid Davis. He mostly made the same film over and over and over again, and that is about dangerous strangers. But he also kind of dallied in other things, and I think he was a big fan of hot rods and hot rod associations because he has a couple of films that deal with that and deal with it in a way that it's a positive outlook for juvenile delinquency. So here's Cool Hot Rod. Enjoy.
Behind the wheel of that Boulder Street Lightning? That's me, Bullet Bill Bowers. My folks and I just moved to this new city, and it sure seemed to me like we picked out a town full of sleepwalkers. That included the fellas and girls my own age, too. I never saw such a collection of sleepy joes, and they drove like rich old ladies in old-time electric heaps. It looked like I was going to have to educate the high school on the subject of hot rods, how to take a jalopy and really make it move. Why, in the burg I came from, I had the juiciest bug of any rodder in the Goose Greasers. That was our street racing club. And I had the biggest collection of traffic citations, too. All us greasers drove the cops crazy, and I could have started a private mental sanitarium for those I'd worked over. Walt Perry and his sister Janet yet. Walt was president of the Knights, the city auto sport club. His sister was secretary. I guess my roadster impressed him. Yeah, I really had a job putting some life into this town. Why these jokers even walk slow? I went into my act at lunchtime, trying to bring the word to a bunch of prime squares. But believe me, that was the coldest audience anybody ever played to. I got nothing. Just nothing. I didn't get it at all. Were these guys abnormal or something? Or had I joined up with a bunch of zombies? It was gonna be tough, but I'd have to bear it. I was stuck with him. This city was a slow burn. It was kind of lonesome that first day, and after school. But I knew a way to get him to notice me. It had always worked before where I came from. Yeah, they knew I was around now, all right. You should have seen them scatter. I got a lot of attention. Some of it not quite what I had in mind. Officer Jim Daniels came to school to give his regular safety talk. He took off after me. First he told me I was driving like a wild man. I took that as a compliment. And then he asked if I was a member of the Knights. So I said no, I was a goose greaser and wanted to show him my card. But all he wanted to see was my driver's license. So I was getting my first ticket in this city. Didn't impress me much. Like I say, I held a goose greaser record. But this was a different kind of a ticket. Well, I had to go to court, all right, but that wasn't new. But this court was held right in the school. And the judge and jury and the whole court were girls and fellas like myself. How about that? I didn't dig it at all. Officer Daniels was there. He was the police department advisor. The judge really socked it to me. No, I didn't have to go to jail or pay another fine. I was sentenced to a special traffic school for unsafe and reckless drivers. I'd heard about these school courts all over the country, how they'd help cut down teenage accidents, but I'd never dreamed I'd end up in one. I had to find out from somebody just what was the matter with this town. Why were they so far behind the times? I guess Officer Daniels had figured out what I was thinking. He suggested that Walt and Janet Perry explain a few things about their city and hot rodding the Knight's way. They gave it to me, both barrels. They weren't behind the times, I was. How about that? Me behind the times. So, I began learning about real hot rodding. The kind that developed after World War II. That's when thousands of high school and college kids and servicemen were bitten by the speed bug. They began cutting down and souping up stock cars and racing them in the public streets. It didn't take long to give drivers under 25 a bad name. Why? Maybe because teenage accidents were killing or maiming somebody once every 2 minutes, causing more damage than all fires and twice as many casualties as we had in the whole Korean War. The police cracked down, too, and collected driver's licenses wholesale. This scene was played up in a national picture magazine. But like Walt explained, figures don't mean much, just reading them. You're a lot more impressed by what happens to you personally. Tom Hanks was Walt's best friend, and his hero, actually. Tom had been in the Air Force as a fighter pilot. Now he was going to college. Tom had built up just about the slickest cut-down custom conversion in existence. You see, Tom had a big advantage. His father, George Hanks, had a big auto repair business, and besides that, he manufactured and sold speed parts. Mr. Hanks had to admit that his son had the hottest motor in town. But Tom shouldn't have spent all his time on the motor. There are other parts to a car, too. Like those little gimmicks in the wheels, the brakes. Tom was breezing down the road and he was catching up to the 1105, a pretty fast freight. Then he thought of a good test for his engine. If he could beat the fast freight to the crossing, he'd know his engine was perfect. Then the engine sputtered, missed, slowed down just a little. Tom wouldn't beat the train. He'd have to use his brakes. But he didn't have any, and it was too late to turn off. time, but Tom had spent all his time on the motor. A whole lot more impressive than figures. After the accident, Mr. Hanks told Officer Jim Daniels he wanted to do something, anything, to keep other boys from getting killed the way his son was. Well, Officer Daniels was ready. He'd been reading about a new kind of hot rod club, with stiff, safe driving tests, and which only admitted members who hadn't had a ticket for 6 months. They raced their cars, but only on special safe drag strips after complete safety inspections. So that was how the Knights Hot Rod Club was organized. Mr. Hanks was its sponsor, and Jim Daniels agreed to be police department advisor. Mr. Hanks turned over a garage to the club and gave them enough tools and equipment for a start. Every hot rodder in town wanted to join, but the safe driving test and no ticket requirement kept out quite a few at the start. Then, while they were waiting for a drag strip, the Knights began getting their cars in shape to qualify. And to many proud owners' surprise, a lot of the cars failed the safety inspection. Those that failed were disqualified for racing, so the owners worked them over night and day until they did pass. The inspection teams were getting good, so Officer Daniels decided to play a joke on them, see just how good they were. He brought over a prowl car that was ready for overhaul. The mechanic had found 5 things wrong. Now Jim wondered whether the Knights could find them. All the inspection teams joined in, teaming up on Jim's car. And they found the faults all right. And then more faults. And more faults. And more faults, a dozen more than the contract mechanic had located. When Jim got that report, he realized he'd been driving a death trap. He was lucky to have gotten to the garage alive. Yeah, the Knights had made a believer out of Jim. Meantime, Mr. Hanks was collaring all his business friends and getting them to help sponsor a drag strip and safety program. He was a real salesman. Almost before they knew it, they were signed up. Knights sponsors. Mr. Hanks and Jim Daniels went looking for a site to develop a good, safe drag strip. They found an old airfield that looked like it would fill the bill. It didn't take long to get the strip ready, and when the Knights staged their grand opening and their first-time trials and drag races, they were really on their way. The club began to impress people, the whole city, in fact. The Knights were proud of their club and were out to build a new reputation for hot rodders, for courtesy and safe driving. More and more motorists in distress received club courtesy cards. They led a successful campaign for driver education and auto shop training in high school, and right away, this began paying off, just as it has everywhere. In a survey in one state, 800 untrained drivers had 5 times as many accidents as 800 who had received training in school. At the same time, the untrained drivers got 7 times as many traffic tickets. Believe it or not, Teenage drivers who are trained in school courses have a lot fewer accidents and get a whole lot less tickets than adult drivers. The driving teachers say that the students really go for it. Driving class is one they never miss. And why would they? Every now and then there are guest speakers, like the famous Ralph De Palma, who's considered the greatest racing driver in the past 50 years. He always tells the girls and fellas that nobody appreciates and respects careful driving more than a professional racer. Well, sure, all that safety stuff was fine, I told him. Sounded good. But speed was my meat. A good fast mill and a tire-burning takeoff. The Knights go for speed too, Walt said. And then he asked if I'd like to bring my job out to the drag strip Sunday and try it out against some of their wagons. This was what I'd been waiting for. Walt had himself a deal. But I never got near the strip. They wouldn't let me. They checked my car over and said it wasn't safe. It took me a month working after school and on weekends just to get ready to pass the safety test. So I was finally going to get my chance. While we were waiting for them to qualify my car, Walt showed me around, explaining how a properly run drag strip operates. There are classifications for all kinds of hot rods, but the main one is the ratio of weight to piston displacement. This determines the basic engine class. After a car is weighed and classified, it gets a complete safety inspection. I knew from experience how tough this is. Those inspectors don't miss a thing. That's why drag strips have run for years without a serious accident. When it's been classified and inspected for safety, a car is ready to run. It gets an official number. But drivers have to be in good standing too. If they're not of age, their parents have to okay them. Some of them show up a little too early. While the other cars are getting oil changes, he just gets changes, period. One of the cars, named the Bean Bandit, held a strip record from a standing start to 142 miles an hour in a quarter of a mile. You'd be surprised at the number of girls who enter these drags. Not just driving either. They know what's under the hood because they put it there themselves. Yeah, the drag strip was like a circus or a miniature Indianapolis. Hundreds of people were there from town to watch. A real big professional deal. Believe it or not, from a standing start, some of these draggers would beat a jet plane down that quarter-mile stretch. There were just about as many ideas in rebuilt bodies and chassis as there were in high-efficiency motors. It may be a man's world, but you'd never know it on that drag strip. The girls didn't ask any special deal either. They went right out and ran against the men. Did fine, too. They won their share of places. George Hanks and Jim Daniels had a right to be proud. And they were. The Knights and their drag strip were things the whole city could take pride in. No wonder they came out by the hundreds or even thousands to watch every drag heat. Then Walt pointed out a man at the refreshment counter. His name was Phillips, a top designing engineer from Detroit. Did you know that a whole lot of the engine ideas in new cars were first tested and proved on drag strips and dry lakes? Things like dual exhaust, dual carburetors, and high compression heads. Phillips was there to watch for applications his company could use. You know, by the time they called my number, I'd become so interested I almost forgot what I was there for. This was my chance to show him. I didn't have any doubt about breaking the record. The only question I had was, by how much? Either that clock was broken or somebody was being funny, I thought. They had me clocked at a little over 70, just half the speed of the top car. I complained to Walt just who the comic was. Walt said nobody, the time was right. But if I wanted to try a drag race, I sure did. Now I could really show 'em. Right on the drag strip with no phony clocks. Out of my way, starter. Yeah, I showed 'em all right. I had the coldest hot rod on the strip. I was left so far back I could have been driving Jack Benny's Maxwell. Obviously, I had a lot to learn from these squares. Well, there was still the reliability run. You'd think by now I'd have had better sense than to go through with it, but I didn't. And I learned another lesson. I couldn't even finish. My radiator boiled over and I ran out of gas. And I was gonna teach them about hot rods. When that 1925 Star went by me, that did it. Right then, I made up my mind. If it was the last thing I ever did, I had to be one of the Knights. So I got the list of membership requirements from Walt and his sister. She was the club secretary. And guess the first thing I had to do? I had to learn to drive. Imagine that, after all the miles I'd driven. But after a couple of sessions in the dual-control car, I found out there was a whole lot more to good, safe driving than knowing how to turn the wheel or which pedal is the gas. Actually, there was more I didn't know about driving than I did know. But that was just the first requirement. Next thing on the list was to go 6 months without a citation, or even a warning. That was really tough at first, but I made it. Believe me, I was never so glad of anything in my life as I was to get hold of that little Knight's membership card. But I knew one thing. I was a whole lot better and a safer driver than I was before I started working for it. Janet asked me to come outside. She said the Knights were holding a clinic and wanted me to join them. And that's when I found out how little I actually did know about souping up an engine. The Knights were holding a clinic, all right, on my car. I thought I'd revved up my motor pretty well. But now I learned about porting and relieving the block, cylinder bore, racing flywheels, custom camshafts, exhaust headers, dual exhaust, tolerances, new ignition, high compression heads, hemispherical combustion chambers, dual carbs, dual point distributors, dual intake. Well, I needed a mechanic's dictionary to even follow what they were talking about. All those parts and the tools were gonna cost money, so I got a job after school and Saturdays to pay for them. You know, some guys spend thousands of dollars on a good hot rod, plus thousands of hours of work. They won't even drive them in traffic. Some careless driver might smash into them and ruin a car that costs more than a Cadillac. While I was getting the money together, I read every book on mechanics I could get. I got a few ideas, too, about carburetors mostly. I decided to rebuild my car for the reliability run instead of the drag race. This would give me a better chance to try my carburetor ideas. And you know something? My ideas paid off, too. It took me a few months, but I finally won a 3rd place for reliability. But I got a real surprise when they started giving out the trophies. How? Well, the city merchants had awarded a trip to the Memorial Day race at Indianapolis to the boy. The club voted most deserving. And guess who the Knights elected? Me, Bill Bowers, the ex-ticket champ. How about that? Then Mr. Phillips, you know, the Detroit engineer, came over and wanted to look at my carburetor. He asked if I'd be interested in a scholarship for their factory school to study mechanical engineering. They've given a lot of scholarships to fellas in hot rod clubs, and a lot of them became top mechanics and designers. Of course, I said yes. So I got the biggest kick of my life, seeing the 500-mile race. They'd arranged for Ralph De Palma to show me around, too. He introduced me to racing stars like Manny Ayula and Ab Jenkins. And Mr. De Palma and Harry Hartz talked over old times. We looked over all the cars, too. Bob Estes and driver Don Freeland were wheeling their special out for a warm-up run. This is the toughest race of all, for cars and drivers. A speed trial and reliability run all at once. What a kick, meeting famous guys like Duke Neyland and Roger Ward. And they told me they all considered Ralph De Palma the greatest driver in Indianapolis history. And Wilbur Shaw, the president of the Indianapolis Speedway, agreed with him. He won the race 3 times himself. You think the racers are fast, you should watch the pit crews work. Why, they can change a tire faster than a blowout can go flat. A driver just couldn't win the race without a good pit crew to work his car over during the pit stops. Then, on the morning of Memorial Day, the big race started. I think there were about 200,000 people watching. The biggest crowd for any sports event in the country. And get this, out of the 33 cars, 9 of them were driven by ex-hot rodders, members of clubs like the Knights. The winner drove the 500 miles in less than 4 hours. That means an average of better than 125. Yeah, like I said, it was the biggest kick I ever had. Hard to realize I was actually sitting there, watching the biggest race in the world. Yeah, it's tough to believe now that that jerk in the slop-up was me, just a few months back, before I became a knight. You see, the reckless kid in an old clunker like that one is not a hot rodder at all. He's a square in a shot rod. Real hot rodders in organized clubs and timing associations all over the country have taken what used to be a hazard and turned it into a real hobby. And a genuine benefit to their communities. Not just through safe driving and driver education either. They've raised thousands of dollars for charity, conducted blood drives for the Red Cross, and developed top mechanics and designers for automobile manufacturers, as well as testing and proving ideas that have produced better, safer cars for everybody. So that's the real story of the cool hot rod. The one-time hazard that has become a brand new, safe, progressive American hobby.
Wow. So there's so much about that film that does not seem like it's a Sid Davis film, besides the fact that you saw his name at the beginning and the end of the film. There were some headlines, which is his MO. He loves putting up headlines from newspapers and magazines. And also he just makes up headlines as well. And it's also voiceover versus sync sound, where you hear people actually talking. But the upbeatness of it, like how whimsical and happy people were, was not Sid Davis at all. Most of his films deal with some sort of social ill or tragedy, and the narration is not by the person who's actually in the film. It's almost always by some sort of voice of God man, or in some cases, with like Roscoe's Rules, it's a woman. But Bill is so excited, and his little his fall is not that far, in that he is not on the verge of death. He did not accidentally kill somebody. He did not break his legs. He was able to tell his story quite excitedly. And so it's very interesting. I think this is an early Sid Davis film compared to ones that he kind of kept doing in the 60s and 70s. I guess he loved hot rodding. So, all right, we got some commercials for you. These are a variety of different commercials. I think most of them are Procter and Gamble, which means that were probably made by Benton and Bowles. And so there's some campaigns in there. One of them in particular, I was kind of scrubbing through it real quick, is disembodied ghost hands that show up. And honestly, are creepy. Like, I was like, oh my God, that's insane. So anyways, let's watch some TV ads for personal hygiene products because you stink. Enjoy.
It must be 200 years old.
Yeah. It looks like a dentist chair.
Alan. By the way, we saw the dentist yesterday, and Johnny only had 2 little cavities.
Only 2?
Yep.
What happened?
You know, honey, I think it just could be the crest.
Of the 5 leading toothpastes, only one has fluoride. Only Crest, the cavity fighter.
Antique, huh? Made in USA, 1951.
Alan.
There's no such thing. Preventive medicine for teeth?
For fewer cavities?
Can't be done.
It has. Now Gleam's done it. New Gleam's put preventive medicine in a toothpaste for fewer cavities.
What preventive medicine?
It's stannous fluoride plus stannous pyrophosphate.
Gleam tastes great.
No toothpaste fights cavities better. Preventive medicine for fewer cavities in New Gleam.
I said it could be done. Barney, come back and brush your teeth.
Aw, Ma. Here's the Gleam. You know I'm on a campaign against cavities, and brushing right helps get rid of the food and germs that can cause cavities. Now take the Gleam and brush.
Your mom's always making you brush. Yeah, but I bet I get less cavities than you.
Mothers who care know one sure way to help fight cavities is to brush right and use Gleam.
Fredo, get rid of this crest. That's my toothpaste. Mom, if I come home with a lot of cavities. Mom's not here, and we're switching. To what? To this. Improved crest?
Improved Crest with a strengthened fluoride formula proved in laboratory tests. For fewer cavities, have checkups, watch treats, and brush often with Improved Crest.
Hey! As long as you're improving things, get a new toothbrush.
Where are you going?
Me go to powwow.
Take this Gleam and brush some teeth first.
Now, Mom.
Now, me on warpath against cavities. See, dear, brushing right helps get rid of the food and germs that can cause cavities.
Okay, Mom?
Okay. Keep it up, and I bet you'll get less cavities.
Mothers who care know one sure way to help fight cavities is to brush right and use Gleam.
Jimmy, the school bus. Did you brush your teeth after breakfast?
I didn't have time.
That boy, he knows he should brush after meals.
Well, if you can't brush after every meal, brush often and use Gleam. Proper brushing with Gleam removes most decay-causing food particles and bacteria to help prevent their buildup during the day. So brush often, even if you can't brush after every meal, and always use Gleam.
I don't need this toothpaste anymore.
What are you doing? I thought you said he had a good checkup.
Only had one cavity, Daddy.
And you want to give him a crest for what?
For this.
Now, new mint flavor Crest joins regular Crest. 2 great toothpastes for fighting cavities. Have checkups, watch treats, and brush often with Crest. Regular or new mint flavor.
You know, I like the way that crest tastes.
I'll get you your crest too, dear.
Jimmy, stop! Wash that toothpaste off your brush. Here, I'll do it.
Mom, you're wasting Gleam.
I found a better toothpaste.
Better than Gleam?
Yes, new Gleam. It's a better way to fight decay. It has stannous fluoride plus stannous pyrophosphate.
What's that?
It's preventive medicine for fewer cavities.
Gee, tastes great.
Get new Gleam. It's a better way to fight decay.
Come on, Timmy. Let's go.
Hold it before you blast off. You brush your teeth. There's the gleam.
Your mother's always making you do that. Yeah, but I bet I get less cavities than you.
Yes, mothers who care know one sure way to help fight decay is to brush right and use Gleam. You see, a harmful deposit called plaque forms on teeth. Proper brushing with Gleam removes most plaque. So remember, one sure way to help fight decay is to brush right and use Gleam.
Millie's hat shop, $20.
They had a sale.
$20 for a hat. Some sale.
Did you get to the dentist's bill yet?
Yeah. How come so little?
Bobby only had one cavity. You know, it could be the crest.
Have regular checkups, watch treats, and brush after eating with Crest.
That cost $20?
Cleaning out the attic, huh?
Oh, hi, hon. Back so soon?
Got through at the dentist early.
How come?
Only had one cavity, Dad.
Great.
You know, Jim, I'll bet it's the crest.
Crest proved it reduces cavities. 21, 34, 42% in tests against the same toothpaste without fluorostan. Have regular checkups, watch treats, and brush after eating with Crest.
Still fits.
Hey, what do you mean throwing away my old gray flannels?
The last time you wore them, they split.
No, you don't. That's our Crest.
I've got something you'll like better.
Yes, the Crest cuts down cavities.
This works too. It's mint flavor.
Now Crest comes in 2 flavors, regular and new mint. For fewer cavities, have checkups, watch treats, and brush after meals with Crest.
We'll keep your mint, but we're keeping my Crest, too. There's comfort in the old and familiar.
Like you, dear.
Did you know there's a preventive medicine for your kids' teeth? It fights cavities. It's in New Gleam toothpaste. New Gleam's preventive medicine is stannous fluoride plus stannous pyrophosphate. It can reduce decay, and 5,000 kids like these help prove it. No toothpaste fights cavities better than New Gleam.
And Gleam tastes good. Yeah!
For preventive medicine against decay, get New Gleam today.
Don't you make fun of my mom. Oh, she's always making you brush your teeth. Oh, yeah, but I bet I get less cavities than you. Oh, yeah?
I get my son to brush a lot. Do a good job, too. And Gleam's our toothpaste. Right, Peter?
You and me, Mom.
You and me and Gleam.
Mothers who care know one sure way to help fight cavities is to brush right and use Gleam.
Some shampoos are thin, but Liquid Prel is luxurious. Try it. Liquid Prel's rich lather lets you become anything you want. A Balinese dancer, Pocahontas, Queen of the Nile. You like that? Your hair is lovely, alive, and shining.
Take me to your pharaoh.
Liquid Prel, extra rich shampoo.
Mommy, the baby's hitting the cat. Mom!
A Prel Concentrate shampoo does a little more than get your hair clean. It makes you feel better. Prel's lather gets your hair so clean, you feel clean all over. Refreshed. You feel like new. Even a little more ready to meet the world.
Honey, where are my clean shirts?
Prel Concentrate in the unbreakable tube. Gets hair so clean, you feel like new.
Betcha Robert's coming over tonight.
That's your cue to vanish.
Make me. Hey, leave some shampoo for me.
Only use this much.
Sure is a lot of lather.
It's Prel Concentrate. Now flake off.
Hey! Prel Concentrate. Achoo!
Cindy, what are you doing here?
Just wanted Robert to see my beautiful hair.
Prel Concentrate. Lots of lather.
Imagine shampoo lather so rich, you could fashion a hairstyle that's exotic. dramatic, exciting. Liquid Prell's extra rich lather leaves your hair clean, glowing with the look of luxury. Liquid Prell, not thin like this shampoo, but thick and luxurious. Liquid Prell, extra rich shampoo.
She'd make a great receptionist. But that dandruff is...
Oh, well, hire her anyway. I'll tip her off to Head & Shoulders shampoo.
You've been here 6 weeks already.
6 wonderful weeks.
Oh, time sure flies.
I love the job and the people.
Especially a certain young man in sales.
Oh.
Well, you work fast.
So does Head & Shoulders. Sure fixes dandruff. And for your hair, too. I mean, it's sensational.
Sure is. Helps control dandruff with just regular use.
You're drowning my turtles!
In the sink. And don't leave them in the tub again.
Wow, that's a lot of lather.
It's Prell Concentrate. You only need this much. You're next, young lady.
Prell Concentrate.
Pretty.
Now can I put my turtles back in the tub?
Prell Concentrate. Lots of lather.
Doris, have you seen my glasses?
Looked on your head?
Have you looked on yours as an extra pair of hands?
Oh, Harry, it only seems that way. It's Prell Concentrate. Concentrated so, just a little bit works up lots of lather. It's like having an extra pair of hands.
Hey, hair looks great. But I did see an extra...
Oh, Harry, let me help you look for your glasses.
Prell Concentrate in the unbreakable tube. Works up so much lather, it's like having an extra pair of hands.
Some shampoos are thin, but Liquid Prell is thick and luxurious. Try it. Liquid Prell's rich lather lets you become anything you want. A living doll, a good-looking tomato, an enchantress. You like that? Lovely. Your hair glows with fire. Okay, enchantress, turn someone into a pussycat. Wow. Liquid Prell, extra rich shampoo.
I'll bet there's no shampoo left for me.
Just use this much.
For all that lather?
It's Prell Concentrate. Your turn.
Look out!
Prell Concentrate. And I saved so much, I just had to
Honey,
get
don't put that thing on. It'll spoil your gorgeous hair.
Prell Concentrate. Lots of lather.
When you feel like this, relax. Give yourself a massage. A Prell Concentrate massage. Prell Concentrate, the shampoo with massage lather. So rich it gets right down to your scalp. So relaxing. Does more than leave your hair clean. Leaves you feeling relaxed and clean. Next time you need to unwind, try Prell Concentrate in the unbreakable tube. The shampoo with massage lather.
Wow, that Judy can sure play bridge.
But wow, that dandruff problem. Yes. There's no excuse for it. Considering the dandruff I had, you, Marge? A mess. Till I switched to Head & Shoulders. That's one dandruff shampoo that really works.
Somebody ought to tell her.
Maybe she's listening. We repeat, Head & Shoulders really works. Helps control dandruff with just regular use.
No, he'll notice me all right with his dandruff. Listen, start using Head & Shoulders shampoo. It really works. Work, darn it.
Lots more snow than last trip.
Lots less here. And my hair's nicer now.
Somebody noticed.
Well, guess Head & Shoulders ended the freeze.
No snow. Really works. Helps control dandruff with just regular use.
Some shampoos are thin, but Liquid Prell is luxurious. Try it. Liquid Prell's rich lather lets you become anything you want. A swinging flapper, an oriental beauty, a glamorous spy. You like that? Your hair is lovely, alive and shining. Liquid Prell, extra rich shampoo.
Sue Ellen rides. To work, that is. Loves the big city. Hates the dirt. Used to worry about getting her hair clean until she discovered Prell Concentrate, the shampoo that concentrates on cleaning. Just a little bit gives her lots of lather to get her hair fresh and clean. When your hair gets dirty, really dirty, try Prell Concentrate in the unbreakable tube. Gets your hair clean, really clean.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's your mother. But, Ma, you got an extra pair of hands.
Leroy, it only seems that way. It's Prell Concentrate. Works up so much lather, it's like having an extra pair of hands. Here.
Hey! Hand over the extra pair of hands.
What an imagination.
Prell Concentrate in the unbreakable tube. Works up so much lather, it's like having an extra pair of hands.
Come on, Shorty. Ugh, your hair like chewing gum.
Big Ox. Darling, Wanda the Witch. Your bargain spray's the problem. Watch this cotton test. It sticks. Away with that problem. Try Hidden Magic, the perfect solution. Holds without being sticky. See? Hardly any sticks.
How'd you get rid of the chewing gum?
A little witchery. New Hidden Magic, the problem-solving hairspray.
Sorry, Marge, can't help today.
Sorry, Marge. Got an appointment.
I need a home permanent, but nobody will help me.
Nobody needs to, Marge. Now Lilt gives you all the help you need. New picture directions, simple. Winding alone's easy with sponge end papers. Only Lilt's got 'em. Squeeze on lotion and neutralizer. You've done it. Beautifully. Alone.
Yes, Gloria, alone. Help myself with Lilt.
Wow. I can't remember if I did digitize a bunch of Prell footage. I feel like maybe I did, and I'm gonna look and see if there's more of those disembodied hands, because that was crazy. Anyways, thanks for tuning in today. I very much appreciate your eyeballs and your comments and your donations. Thank you again, William, for the kind donation you did through ko-fi.com/avgeeks. You can also donate via patreon.com/avgeeks. That money goes towards rental fees because we are renovating the archive space, which is why I'm in the dining room of my house. Let's see. You can also donate via the super thanks button, but also just hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. Watch one of the hundreds of videos that I'm adding to our YouTube channel. These are from our collection, but also from the Prellinger collection that we digitized. It feels like almost 20 years ago. So lots of fascinating stuff, and I'll be showing more stuff from that collection as well. But thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow. Although this is what I guarantee is going to happen. I have a day where I feel like crap with my cold, then I feel pretty good. I'm like, oh, I get over it, and then wham. So tomorrow, who knows what's going to happen? We'll see. But we'll see you next time. Everybody take care.